gentlemen, welcome to episode 41 of I Got Gameplay. It's a very special episode that we've got today, of course, because we have a special guest. Someone who's making a name for himself on YouTube, the gaming scene, and also podcasting himself with the XS Gaming podcast. We have, introducing in his first time to I Got Gameplay, Mr. Xander Scullion. Xander, how's it going?
It's going really good. I had to say that was a really cool intro, by the way. I was like bobbing my head while I was listening to it. That was really cool. It's great to be on, man.
Thank you very much. It's great to have you on. It's the first time we've actually had a special guest on the show. So, ladies and gents, if you do want to call in and give some questions to Xander, basically talk about anything in regards to the theme of today's show, his take on news, you can do by calling us on 760-512-7247. That's 760-512-7247. Or, above our player, if you're listening in live, there's a Skype button. Just take a click on that Skype button. You're calling in for free. We'll get you straight on the boards and get you straight into the conversation. So remember that, 760-512-7247. And today, of course, we just can't be an I Got Gaming podcast without our regular selection of hosts. Coming in late today, we have Miss Nikki Mills. She will be in on show, so just let you guys know that she's there. Keep her in your heads. We have today, they're making her return to the show after a couple of weeks hiatus. We have Mrs. Samantha Jennings. Sam, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm doing. Just woke up from a pretty awesome nap, you know.
And she's bummed. She's bummed because she didn't get to go to Vegas. I feel her pain.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
That.
Just go all Anita Sarkeesian and blame all the men. Just say it's a men thing.
Oh.
Also,
oh, God.
Oh, it's all right, Sam. There. Pat on the back. Pat on the back. We have also today a gentleman who's on his own YouTube channel. He's making noise himself as part of the Fanboys Anonymous group. He is Mr. Travis Goss. Travis!
Michael!
How are you?
I'm doing great!
Oh, great. And, you're making some noise, those rose-coloured reviews that you've been doing?
Yes, that's right. And I'm just going to be working on an episode this week, but I had some trouble with my camera. I basically needed some batteries for it. I got one of those I guess I'll go break the fourth wall here. I got this, the flip camera that Cisco was manufacturing. This thing eats up batteries like crazy. So it's in
do you mean Cisco Systems or Cisco is in the band?
No, Cisco is a system.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, man, thong song cameras.
Every time I record, it's like, let's really go.
And I tell you, it's a real bitch to edit videos when that's going on in the background.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, you just like, every time that you just press on the record button, it's like...
It's got a setting where...
that song.
It's got a setting, so every time you film, you have platinum hair.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, just like...
No wonder I'm losing my hair.
Too many highlights. So yeah, as we know with today's show, the theme of today's show is going to be something rather different. We're going to be talking not about gaming controversies, as we've actually touched on in regards to the show, but is gaming going too far? So basically, we're looking at the manufacturers of games, all the games of blood and gore, games like Saints Row 4, which has recently been released, which for some reason in the UK has only got a digital distribution release here. It's not, we don't actually get the box art and the game itself for some weird reason.
Sadness.
Very sadness.
It's really crazy.
I know. I might have to actually order mine overseas. This is very weird. And also the fact that, you've got countries like Australia, which are highly legislating these games at the moment, and political accusations and stuff like that. So we're going to touch on that subject in just a little bit. But first, as always, we have gaming news. So... So to start with you, Xander, what's in the news this week?
Like gaming in general for me, or just gaming news as abroad?
Gaming news in general for you. What are you most excited about?
Well, there's no doubt that I'm really, really excited about Mighty Number 9.
Yeah.
To me, this is a game that I feel like has been bringing gamers together. You know, with the new generation, everyone's picking sides between the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and there's been a lot of heated debates between both ends on that. But I think this is a game that's been coming out that everyone who grew up with Mega Man is kind of that middle there, where I feel like this is the chance that everyone can kind of shake hands, because this is like a celebration, and this is a game made for the fans, by the fans, by Keiji Mifune. And I'm going to put down about $60 on it on Monday. The way I look at it, the game's already funded. It's going to come out. But, this is pretty much a pre-order for me. I mean, $60, I'd spend that on a brand new game that's coming out, but I get all these perks, and I'm helping, Keiji Mifune, who, put down the bricks on my childhood of gaming. I mean, I've been playing Mega Man since I was a little kid, so that's really, with gaming news, that's all I've been thinking about lately.
Yeah, no, it's not just yourself. We all have been. I recently did a video talking about the updates in terms of Mighty Number 9. Travis did article/video in regards to this as well. And as we currently stand, with 31,524 backers, there has been a total pledge of 1.8 million, and with 24 days to go, which means we're going to end up smashing that 2.2 million barrier and get this game on console. I am extremely happy with this. I want to say to everybody out there who's donated, who's pledged to this, thank you. A great big thank you, because as you've stated, Xander, we all love this game. This game is going to be the Mega Man that we've always wanted. Every person who's been sitting there kicking themselves about the whole Mega Man Legends ordeal, about the Mega Man universe, about the cancellation of any Mega Man title to date by Capcom, this is for you. And the thing is, this is also what Kickstarter is made for. Projects like this, where they need to get it funded, it's for the fans. This is one of the reasons why he's doing it. And it's also a little bit of a revelation for himself, in a sense, because he's gone back to his core surroundings. This is what made him famous, and I have to admit, he's doing something so positive, in terms of putting this product out there and getting it to people. This is no Smosh, this is no Anita Sarkeesian. This is actually a game which, this is how much it costs, this is what we need to do, can you help? And people are coming in droves to assist with this. I'm extremely happy about it. Do you have anything else for us, Xander, or is that all it for you today?
That's pretty much it. Like, I haven't really been, I know, cause I'm part of Game On Network, which is a network of other YouTubers and podcasters, and we did a Google Hangout last night, and we were talking about the things that Xbox One is going to cancel out if you don't have Xbox Gold. And it was just astounding how many features that Xbox One you won't be able to do without having a gold membership. Everything from things that you already pay for, like Netflix and Hulu Plus and Skype, even Pizza Hut, because apparently you can order Pizza Hut on your Kinect. You can't do that unless you have a gold, and it's just, I don't know. I'm not a fanboy or anything like that. I love games, and maybe one day I'll get an Xbox One, and I'm really looking forward to the PlayStation 4. I'm not getting either of them on launch because I'm the kind of person, I wait a year. I wait a year before I buy a new system because, one, if there's any sort of defective qualities, they'll be fixed in about a year. And two, those launch titles in a year are going to be a lot cheaper. So by the time I get the system, I'll be able to get the launch titles that are 10 times cheaper, and I'll already have a nice little library of games waiting for me. So I'm eventually going to get those systems, but I just don't know what Microsoft's doing, man, because they had so much potential with the 360 and the Xbox, and they were revolutionary with the online and the internet, gaming, that it's almost like it's gone to their heads and they became really arrogant, and it's really sad. I think it's sad more than anything else. I get more sad about it than I'm pissed off,
No, I agree, because, gaming is one of those forms of entertainment where you're in touch with your audience. Like, everybody who does a YouTube channel or does a podcast, or even, like, you've got, like, writers, production people. Everybody in general, they have this one-on-one kind of rapport with their fans going on. And when you try to alienate your fans and treat people like they're just general consumers, like, oh, just shut up and buy what we tell you to buy, otherwise you're not going to get this. It doesn't work because you're ending up humiliating people. You tend to get people away from your brand, and they'll go for a cheaper alternative. You've got big alternatives at the moment in the Ouya, Nintendo, and also in Sony's PS4. And the problem is, at the moment, Microsoft aren't giving them that much to kind of work with in terms of their console as opposed to the other, next-gen consoles out there. So we've got to see how this turns out and what they're going to do about this, because are they going to backpedal like they did with most of their other features that they were arrogantly trying to push on the fans? Or are they going to, stand their ground and say, no, this is the line, you've got to do this, otherwise we're not going to do that. And it does set the bar for other companies as well, because in the end, if they can get that bit of leverage from us, other companies are going to follow suit. Like what happened with PlayStation Plus. Now you have to be a PSN Plus member in order to do online multiplayer now on PlayStation. So
yeah, and I will say on like I said, I don't hate Microsoft. I'm very happy that they did back down from the DRM. That they did backtrack some of that, and apparently they backtracked on the Kinect as well. Like they're saying that you don't have to have the Kinect hooked up to your Xbox One, which the Kinect. It's a Kinect. It is what it is. I'm a kind of person that, and a lot of people are like, oh, they're like, could be spying on you. But the way I look at it is, if you already have a cell phone or a Facebook, you're already in the system. Who cares? As long as you're not doing anything shady, you have nothing to worry about. But I'm glad they kind of did that. But there's too many shades of gray that goes with the new generation. It makes me very, very nervous. Even with Sony, Sony, they're playing it safe by being very quiet and kind of watching Microsoft hang themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that Sony, looks at it as an example like what it seems, and they turn around and they become like, the Caped Crusader of the gaming consoles instead of, turning out to be Two-Face, from like Harvey Dent, So I don't know. Like I said, it's up in the air.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, and I'm the same. I'm a huge fan of Microsoft. I'm also a huge fan of Nintendo when they started attacking the internet. It just happens that way. Sometimes they've got to be lessons that have been learned from these companies, and hopefully they will learn these lessons, and they will move on from it being, hopefully becoming stronger, or they'll never learn, and they're going to end up just losing their entire fan base over stuff like this.
They'll end up like Sega.
Yeah. And that was the big thing. If we want to go back to the console wars with Sega, they oversaturated the market, gave a lot of products out there which were just less than on par with most of the systems that were coming out. They were flooding it with next-gen system after next-gen system. Then when they brought out the Dreamcast, which was a credible system, people just didn't want to know.
Yeah, I love the Dreamcast. And, I just recently got a Dreamcast last year. And I fell in love with it. And I was like, man, this is such a great system. But I remember even back then I didn't like the controller because I wasn't used to it. And, I had PlayStation 2. It was just kind of like Sega like you said, they oversaturated everything with the Saturn. They released it way too early. They didn't have enough support because of the hardware was not user-friendly for the developers, and a lot of the great Saturn games are, in Japan. So I always tell people that if they want to collect for the Saturn, you need to be prepared to spend a lot of money, because where it gets good is when you get the stuff from Japan. So,
very much so. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I own a Saturn and a Dreamcast, but I got those way after their lifespan had ended. In a sense, with those consoles, I bought them mostly because I was a collector, but it was nice to actually sit there with my kids and get a bit of nostalgia out there, because they're like, what's a Saturn? What's a Dreamcast? Oh, this is what this does, and this is how this works, and this is the game that you play on it. And, quite recently as well, I was sitting there with them, getting them into Turtles, because they love the Ninja Turtles. They love the new cartoon that's out. And, they've never, played a Turtles game before, so I downloaded it for the Xbox 360, got them into that. They've got Turtles in Time as well, the reboot that was done by Ubisoft. And they were extremely happy. They fell in love with most of the stuff that we have as well. And I think one of the biggest bases that I use, if not Sega, Nintendo are awesome when it comes to kid friendly. So it comes to that whole situation where just showing them the right way, the right path in terms of what to actually go for, and also you can get that little bit of nostalgia in there as well and help them transition into gamers just like ourselves. So let's go on to you, Travis. Now, what bit of news do you have on us? What's in the news this week for you?
You mentioned Nintendo, and I got a press release from them, and it's 3 top Wii games get new lower price. Let's see, 3 of the best-selling and best-reviewed Wii games of all time are now available at a new low price. Starting today, which is yesterday, September 6th, Super Mario Galaxy 2, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and Wii Sports Resort are available at a suggested retail price of just $29.99 each. The new price represents one of the many steps Nintendo is taking to provide shoppers with the best value and variety across all its systems through the end of 2013. The games can also be played on the Wii U home console, which can play the entire library of Wii games. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is tied with Super Mario Galaxy as one of the best reviewed games of all time with a Metacritic score of 97. To date, the game has been sold more than 2.7 million in the United States alone. New Super Mario Bros. Wii has sold more than 9.4 million in the U.S., and Wii Sports Resort, the follow-up to the game that introduced motion controls to the world of gaming, has U.S. sales of nearly 7 million.
Well, I don't know in terms of this. This is kind of an anomaly in a sense. Do people still buy Wii games?
I do.
Yes. I just bought a couple.
Well, would you buy them new or would you buy them pre-owned? That's the thing.
I buy them pre-owned because they're so freaking cheap. Like the Wii has such a library of cheap games, and a lot of people knock the Wii. But the way I tell people is the Wii is a system that you have to do research on. You have to actually see some of the games sometimes because they have so many games that are just bad.
Too much time.
They have so many games that are like Cooking with Baby and stuff like that, They have so many games like that, but if you do some research and you dig around, you can find some really good gems. And I got a Wii about 2 months ago. I got it for like $25, and I've been watching, like Metal Jesus Rocks when he was talking about the Wii gems, and so many great games that are like so freaking cheap that unfortunately I think a lot of people pass by because they look at the Wii as a gimmick system or a kiddie system. But like House of the Dead, 3, and I'm playing Mad World and No More Heroes. Those are excellent video games,
Yeah.
Yes.
One of my favorites.
Oh man.
Did we hear about the whole Xenoblade Chronicles and GameStop situation in terms of that? That's not pretty.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I know, but it still deserves to be on that list of amazing, though.
Yeah, no,
it is. And the last story. I mean, all those games, Project Rainfall, all those games. I want to play the Pandora's Tower. I want to play that as well.
It's one of those games. The funniest thing with the Wii U, most people don't know that the console, or the Wii, should I say, the funny thing about that, it's catered towards everybody, but you have to dig in deep to find those gems, those stuff that that are very broad that adults can play, and also sort of their gamer type games like House of the Dead Overkill that was released on the PS3, No More Heroes Paradise. Both those games span from Wii U titles. Overkill for me, oh my god, I was in heaven when I bought that. I was literally standing there at the time with the kid's mum, and we're both like shooting zombies like crazy, having our own little fun nights when the kids go to sleep. It was like, yep, okay, let's break out the Wii.
Yeah, my co-host is a big light gun fan, and it's funny because digging and doing research, to me, that is the fun part of collecting. Like, that is what makes collecting fun, is, going out and doing research and finding out about these games. So when you do go to flea markets, you do go to yard sales, you go on eBay, wherever you go, you find these games and you know what they are. and you're like, man, this is going to look great on my collection. So that's why I always get on people that talk, smack about the Wii. I'm like, come on, dude, the Wii's good. You just got to do a little bit more digging. You got to do a little bit more research. That's the only thing. That's
the fun thing about it as well, and it's one of those consoles that everyone bought. When it's like early lifespan, people were buying it by the boatful. By the time sort of a couple of years had passed, I managed to get my Wii for like $30, and that was because there was a problem with the console and the person didn't know how to fix it. So I managed to secure it off eBay for $30, fix the problem. It was just literally a piece of plastic that ended up embedding itself over the laser. Took the jam out, popped it back in place, and it was working great. And then I was doing hours of fun in terms of gaming. That tided me over for a couple of years before I got my Xbox 360, and I still play both. I'm currently playing Animal Crossing.
Oh man,
that's so addictive.
Oh yeah, Animal Crossing. I said it last night on the Game On Network Hangout. We had a really bad lag when we were doing Google Hangout, and I said it, and it came in like 5 seconds after everyone started talking about another subject. I said Animal Crossing is crack. It's exactly what it is. I lost a whole summer playing it on GameCube. But yeah, I have so many horror stories of when the Wii first launched, because I was working at Babbage's, which became GameStop at the time. And yeah, I have so many horror stories when the Wii came out. Our store almost got robbed when the PS3 came out. That was really interesting.
Wow.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, the Wii was a huge success when it first came out. A lot of people were really, really mesmerized by the way it was being played. It was something new,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Nintendo didn't just go for a bog standard console. They went in a different direction. And in a sense, if you're out there and you're not sold on the Wii or the Wii U, play the console first. Don't sit there making judgments on these consoles. Play them first, and then tell us what you think. And in a sense, going back to the whole new subject in terms of them selling these for new, I think it's good for Nintendo and their bottom line, but don't expect people to actually go out and buy these games new unless they really, really want to. Pre-owned at the moment, especially because pre-owned is allowed on the Wii and the Wii U, you're probably going to see these games get bought for next to nothing before they actually go and actually buy a new copy of these. Travis, have you got anything else for us?
Yes, I do, and it's actually a follow-up story to something we were following on the fanboysanonymous.com. I'll just give you the title. Ouya Free the Games Fund Project, Elementary My Dear Homes, suspended by Kickstarter.
Yes!
Oh, man.
For those of you who don't know, it was broken on Fanboys Anonymous by a gentleman by the name of Zach Roth. And it's flooded the internet. Loads of news sites at the moment are actually picking up the story from Fanboys. So that's a big coup for Fanboys Anonymous. There you go, Tony Mango. And the biggest thing about this is the Ouya is doing a new scheme where if you're a developer and you've got a Kickstarter going on, you've got to come up with like 50 grand from the Kickstarter, and they will match your 50 grand with their 50 grand in order to actually develop your games for the Ouya system. And it gives them those first titles which are Ouya only. The problem is a couple of games that were was allegedly Kickstarter funded. One was Elementary My Dear Homes. The other one was an American football game. What was the name of that, Travis? Do you know?
Gridiron Thunder.
That's it, Gridiron Fun, was sort of a Madden-esque game. Both of these were using names and likenesses of people who either passed away, celebrities, and also like people who have gone missing. I think one of them was to put false donations into a Kickstarter campaign in order to get the Kickstarter up and running so that the company behind the Ouya would match that funding. Now, there was a huge load of controversy about this. People were getting really annoyed. Tweets, emails, people were bugging the company about this and saying, don't support these guys. They're not doing it the fair way. There's something fishy going on. But they were relenting. They were like, no, we're going to support them. We're going to match them. That's up to us. We're going to do what we want. But to hear that they've been that Elementary My Dear Homes has been suspended due to fraudulent work on Kickstarter is a big thing. It shows that Kickstarter is doing things the right way. instead of allowing this sort of faux pas to happen, so to speak.
You know, that sucks, though, because, you know, it's stuff like that leaves a bad taste in the mouth of people that are curious about Kickstarter, because, like you were saying earlier, I think Kickstarter is a great idea, but there's always the rotten apples that make some people completely turn their nose on it. Like, I remember last year the whole Cheetah Man 2 Kickstarter. You know, a lot of people were getting upset about that, and, you know, it was nothing really to get upset about. But some good friends with the Game Chasers, and they were really helping promote that. But, I mean, it's just stuff like that that makes some people that are kind of curious, and it hurts my heart because it could be some people that be like funding Mighty Number 9 that you know are kind of like, oh, Kickstarter is just a scam. But unfortunately, you know, it's not a scam per se, but some people do take advantage of it. They just take some rotting apples to make a great concept turn to shit, you know?
Yeah, and the thing is, when you're talking about Kickstarters as well, it's not just the Kickstarter platform. People use this name synonymous with other companies like Indiegogo and GoFundMe are two prime examples. What they tend to do, they have different ways of funding. Like Kickstarter, it's sort of all or nothing. You can't like say that you're going to get a portion of that. It's all or nothing. With services like Indiegogo, and I'm pointing, you know, I'm going to call out Smosh on this, even though I like the guys. They had a funding scenario going on for them, trying to get 250 million for an app game, 250 grand for an app game, where they basically had it on a partial funding system. So even if they didn't reach the goal, they would have gotten the money, whatever was there. And there was a load of controversy going on about that as well, and about how this game was taking a lot of money to fund. People calling them out on the BS in regards to this. They then said they were going to donate funds to a charity, but didn't name the charity itself. But they got their funding, they got the pledges, they've got a huge load of fans, they've got a boatload of fans. And people were going on about the fact that these guys, they make, and this is estimated on YouTube, their own clothing store, and their other channels, and this spawns not just their number one gaming channel, and they were the number one gaming channel for about, I believe, 3 to 4 years at one point. They have an estimated 1 million a year that comes from YouTube alone. And the problem is, people sitting there going, you want 250 grand, why are you going to Kickstarter? Why are you using someone else's money? Why can't you use your own?
Yeah, it pretty much goes down to this. Anyone that's wanting to do Kickstarter or Indiegogo or anything like that, don't do shady stuff, because us guys that go on YouTube and us that are really passionate about games, we do our research and we figure it out, and we will sniff you out and we will call you out on it.
Yeah.
So don't do anything shady. No matter how popular you are, we will find out, you know?
No, that's it as well. And as I said, I like Smosh. I'm a fan of their work, even though it's sort of lowbrow, fun style comedy. That's what they do. It works for them. But in a sense of the way this actually went down, they've been rather shady about it. They haven't even given a proper explanation on what's happened. That shows how there's the fraudulent side of these Kickstarter campaigns, and it's going to continue to happen. But hopefully we've got people like Zach Roth, Fanboys Anonymous, and also other gaming journalists like yourself, Xander, who go out there, who sniff these things out and say, actually, 1 second, we're going to call bullshit. And all the fans out there, you know, who are fans of these YouTube casts, who know Mr. Repzion, who know, like, guys, for instance, like Johnny Manelium, Alpha Omega Sin, who loves to call out bullshit on these, these sort of things. I'm gonna point him out as well. So who know these guys, just keep telling them, keep letting them know, because they're going to filter through this, they're going to find out about this, and they will let your thoughts known. If you're a small voice, join in with the bigger crowd, and you will have, if this gets a big enough sort of scream out of everybody, people are going to get this and say, no, you know what, this has to stop. So kudos to everybody that has been doing that, and kudos to Kickstarter for getting this crap out of there. Travis, you got us any more for us?
Well, that was basically it, but I was just going to read the whole story about Ouya.
Yep.
There's some pretty good quotes here, too.
Go for it.
All right. The crowdfunding campaign for Elementary My Dear Homes was suspended by Kickstarter today, which was a couple days ago. The point-and-click adventure game had already reached its $50,000 goal, earning $58,770 before its suspension, days before it was slated to end on September 13th. The reasons for the project suspension by Kickstarter are unclear, although the developer said it addressed concerns concerning, quote, suspicious accounts that supported the game. Quote, when the uproar against Elementary My Dear Homes was brought up, we contacted Kickstarter and Amazon, asking them to investigate the accounts and take action accordingly, said the game's creator Sam Chindola told backers.
Oh, that's a load of rubbish.
Oh, here's more. We wanted to get on top of this and did not want anything to do with any of what was happening, as it was an extremely negative campaign for us. Strong personal accusations were going up against us, and it was a huge drain on our time, energy, and resources. We announced its $1 million Free the Games Fund program in July as a means of encouraging developer support for its console by offering monetary rewards for successful Kickstarter-funded games that vow to remain Ouya exclusive for 6 months. Elementary My Dear Homes was one of the 2 games that reached its funding goals last week as part of the program. The other game, Grid Iron Thunder, fell under scrutiny for the amount of funding it received from just 126 backers. According to Ouya, the project successfully qualified to receive the match and sell up on Kickstarter, setting in at $114,437 from 161 funders with 46 hours before the campaign ends. And the decision to suspend the Kickstarter campaign for Elementary My Dear Homes was made by Kickstarter. At this time, you have the same information that we do, Ouya told Joystick in a statement. An essential element of the Free the Games Fund is the only projects that are successfully funded through Kickstarter are eligible. Until Kickstarter raised a red flag on this project, it complied with our terms and conditions. As for Elementary My Dear Homes, Chindola told Joystick that he is returning to other funding methods. Quote, we had quite a few venture capitalists interested in the project after seeing our initial pitch video and the traction we were getting. And this is the path we will be taking now, he said. I have already received mails from a few of them after the plug was pulled, expressing their support and interest for the project. So Elementary My Dear Homes will definitely be a game that will see the light of day. We added, we are confident in Kickstarter's process for verifying the integrity of campaigns on their sites. We launched this fund to keep the next great game developer as determined by gamers. It's unfortunate that this has happened, but we know the next great game is out there. And Joystick reached out to Kickstarter for a comment for the project suspension and will update as they learn more.
Yeah, no, as I said before, I'm glad this has happened. In terms of having other investors involved, go that route. As far as I'm concerned, anybody that wants to basically take the mick and leave a bad taste in terms of these crowdfunding sites, and you're taking advantage of it. So, you know, good riddance to bad rubbish. So, Sam, have you got any news for us?
Well, I'm definitely not as prepared as you guys. Let's see. I never prepared for this part.
I'll come back to you for a second if you like. So, collate something and I'll be back.
Well, no, I could just announce a couple of things that are happening at work.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Really, there are a few games that are coming out on the 10th, which I know one of the games tons of people are super excited about. It's the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD edition coming out for the PlayStation 3 exclusively, which breaks my heart because I'm an Xbox, but it is coming out on the 10th, and it's beautiful. Get it. And stuff. Yeah. Still waiting on Kingdom Hearts 3 to be announced officially, but I can wait because I got so much awesome coming out. Plus, I'm stuck on Diablo 3 at the moment too, which is so much better than the PC version, in my opinion. So,
what are you playing? What was that?
Diablo 3. They released it on the console. They brought it back to the console, and they basically fixed everything that was wrong with the PC version, and it's delicious.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the console version myself at the moment because I don't have a proper PC to play it with. My laptop, for those of you who keep up with everything I do like YouTube vids, the gaming podcast, IGG and stuff like that, and this thing overheats so much to the point where if I put a game, I can't even run Sims 3 without the thing dying. So that's how bad my PC usage is on this. So I'm going to rectify that. I've got some funding coming my way, so I am going to rectify that. But in a sense, it's just, for now, I think I'll go with the Diablo 3 console version for the 360 when that's out. I believe that's going to be out this week, I think.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get Diablo 3.
It's already out. Isn't that for you guys?
We usually get it after you guys get it, so it's probably not out yet for us. But yeah.
Oh, see, that's more reason to move to the States, Michael. No.
The cons are the reason. I love your cons. It's out of order. But yeah, as you were saying, Sandra.
Well, I was going to say was Diablo 3 is definitely a game I want to get, and I still want to get Dragon's Crown for the PS3. I still want to get that. I haven't played it yet.
Oh, awesome. No, it's the...
I have honestly heard nothing bad about that.
Yeah, that's one of those games. I see the look in it, and that's going to touch sort of a light on that game in a bit in terms of like the looks and stuff. But it's been getting rave reviews, believe it or not. So yeah, anything else you got for us, Sam?
Yes, for the Xbox holders, if you haven't noticed already, but all of your points have been moved to currency. And I'm not sure if a lot of people just get the points or currency through the Xbox, but as far as ones who go through actual GameStop or through companies who sell the cards, they're going to be moving to currency in the next couple of weeks. So, don't freak out. We're still learning all the tidbits, but as far as I know, when you do, I know GameStop is switching it over on I believe the 10th of this month. They're moving over to currency instead of points. But depending on what state you live in, you have to have enough currency on your account or pre-purchased for the codes to actually work. Because I know in the state of Virginia, I think it's a $2 sales tax. And that's not Microsoft's fault. It's actually state-based, so don't freak out.
Yeah.
But they're moving everything from points to currency now, and you have to have enough sales tax on your account to cover or to actually have the code redeemable, because if you don't have enough, the code actually won't work.
Everyone...
if you go to any business...
I was like, now everyone's going to see how much money they're spending on all those avatar clothing lines and, little gamer tag stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. I didn't realize how much, because, going through GameStop with points, we don't charge you for DLC. We don't add tax on, gift cards, DLC, Microsoft points, and stuff like that. But now that Microsoft's having moved to currency, and now the state is getting in on that, people are going to start realizing how much, more they're actually spending without realizing it. So, and it's not just Microsoft doing it. Amazon is actually in on the boat also. They're actually starting to charge you state tax, too. So, it's not just Microsoft, so don't freak out.
Yeah, so this one can't be actually blamed on Microsoft. It's due to your state. So there you go, guys. But we get over here anyway. We get charged VAT on everything. So if I'm going to buy points, I get charged VAT on those points. It always happens. But it's a worldwide thing. So, Travis, you got another little bit of news for us quickly?
Yeah, really quick here. We've got, this is pretty good for all the World of Warcraft fans. World of Warcraft edition of Trivial Pursuit to release this month. Blizzard Entertainment and Hasbro teamed up to bring a World of Warcraft flavor to the popular game Trivial Pursuit. Called World of Warcraft Edition Quick Play Trivial Pursuit, will be available this month according to Entertainment Earth. The game will feature 600 questions across 6 categories, such as geography, player characters, loot, lore, villains, and encounters. It will feature handcrafted Murloc dice and baby Murloc pieces as players are as well, according to Paddle.net. The game will sell for $24.99, according to Entertainment Earth.
There you go. Any thoughts on this? Because Trivial Pursuit's one of those things. It's just like it's a trivia game.
Yeah, but this is. I mean, I've played it, and I think I said that in a previous episode. I played the game, and I didn't think it's not for me. But really, this is the only people who are going to be playing this are the World of Warcraft fans, and yeah, that's it. I don't know.
Well, it's one of those things that we know it's going to sell because the fan base is there.
What fan base we got left, that is, because I think the subscriptions are still declining.
Well, we'll see what happens. They'll probably release another little pack out there, which will then get people involved. I think the major World of Warcraft head that was in part of the group was, Mike Payden. And I believe, was it Henry Cavill plays it as well? So, when he's not being Superman, of course. So he plays that when he's not saving the city after destroying it.
Dave Chappelle plays it too.
There you go. So, it still has a very big following. So, Sam, is that all your news done?
Yes.
Okay. Let's quickly run down a few little tidbits of news that's been going on this week. In terms of Nintendo will be renaming two of their official Facebook pages later this month. The 3DS page and the Wii U page, respectively, will be renamed into the handheld gaming page and the Nintendo console gaming pages. So basically the name change is going to be dictating the fact that instead of opening up new pages for certain systems, Nintendo are going to have pages dedicated to their platforms, such as console gaming and handheld. What's your thoughts on this, guys?
Yeah.
Sam, what about you? Good idea, bad idea?
Nah.
Travis, is that a unanimous yeah for you, Travis?
I quote Ricky Fizime. Nah.
Okay. Also, there's a little bit of controversy coming out of Metal Gear Solid 5, which I'm going to touch on in a little bit, in terms of a character named Quiet. Her 3D model was quietly leaked onto the internet, and people are having a huge uproar over it because she looks like this. I'm just putting it onto the I Got Gameplay Skype chat there for our hosts to take a look at and see what people think of it.
I don't see what's so controversial. I mean, I can mention that Anita, what's her face, will probably be up in arms about this shit. Whatever that
you know she probably already is.
That bitchy chick, whoever I can't pronounce her last name very well.
Sarkeesian.
Thank you. Yes, I'm sure she's seen this number. I bet she's making another YouTube video. We're going to talk about it and another TED thing for the TED video series.
Well,
what I want to know is how the hell is she going to run around in those tights? Because they don't stay up.
It's a video game. It's not supposed to make sense.
But it's one of those things.
From my point of view, but how?
Apart from the aesthetics, Xander, what's your opinion on this?
I don't think it's anything worse than Dead or Alive beach volleyball, honestly. I mean, I don't know, before we get in the whole feminism thing, I mean, I was doing research, and I know a lot of feminists are probably going to get upset about that, but honestly, if you ever play Metal Gear Solid 2, there's a lot of male sexist shit that happens in there, the fact that you play as Raiden and he's naked, or, when he's pinned down and he's getting, the tentacles done by a solid snake, stuff like that. So I don't see anything wrong with it.
I don't either. It's one of those things where it's just like, okay, it's there, deal with it. This is what they want to do about it. It's nothing extremely huge in terms of character. I've seen worse.
Yeah, let's play Leisure Suit Larry, you know?
That's one of my favourite games. It literally
Exactly.
is.
Oh, God.
Not for the reasons you're thinking, Sam. It's actually because it's a huge parody, in a sense. It's parody
I
of
played the
Spy.
game. I know what it is.
But it's, you know, it's one of those things where it's...
Jump into conclusions, Burhan.
I'm not jumping to conclusions. You went, oh dear. I was like, okay. Let me explain myself before I actually, dig myself into a hole. I'm knees deep in my hole. So that's segueing off of that. Nintendo had their Pokemon Direct, which is in place of their usual Nintendo Direct, and this time it was a very sort of personal three-man meeting between three of Nintendo's developers, including the Nintendo head of Japan and the gentleman who's actually behind the Pokemon games. And they were talking about the fact that the games are going to be having lots of changes to the X and Y, and they also, as Travis was bringing up to me, and Sean Walker, who's a member of the show, hey Sean, can't be with us today, brought up they're going to be doing a Pokebank, which you're going to be paying a yearly fee, and this Pokebank will allow you to store your Pokemon. You've got unlimited amounts of storage. You can store all your Pokemon on there. It's a cloud-based service. It's online, and if you want it, the option's there. And I was sitting there thinking about this when I first heard it, and I first heard Alpha Omega Sin talking about this as well. Again, shout out to Alpha Omega Sin. The whole thing seems like a very good concept, but this is where it gets a bit cut and dry with this situation. You can't upload your Pokemon Black and White or Pokemon Black and White 2 sets of Pokemon without having this cloud-based storage system in play. So you've got to at least buy a year's subscription to transfer all your Pokemon, your 151 or your million. I don't know how many sets they've got now, about 600 or something, in terms of Pokemon from that game over to your new game, which is X and Y, without using that cloud-based storage system. So let's try and get a round of thoughts on it. Xander, you go first. What do you think?
I think it's a classic, Pokemon is such a money machine for Nintendo. It doesn't really surprise me too much. Now, when it comes to Pokemon news, like gameplay and discussions, I honestly haven't been following it too much because this is the one Pokemon game that I'm really excited about because they are doing something different. I wasn't a big fan of Black and White 1 and 2. I wasn't a big fan of it because I just felt like a lot of the Pokemon games became cookie cutter. I felt like a lot of them were pretty much the same. Like every game you start out with some professor being like, "This is a Pokemon. Pokemon live in the woods." Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, I just want to get a Pokemon. I want to go to first gym. I want to go ahead and just, annihilate everyone.
Yeah.
So I kind of lost interest after. I think the last one I played was Heart Gold. Was the last one I played, which was a revamp of Gold. But so I haven't been following too much of the Pokemon news because I kind of want to get that surprise and that nostalgia and that, new feeling because I feel like this is something new. But, the whole money thing with the cloud, it's pretty much a money machine because Nintendo know that they know they can do it because people are going to pay for it,
Yeah, and I think they've given that option as well. It's kind of a way of cementing it. It's like, okay, if you want this service, if you want to transfer your Pokemon from the ESTA titles, you have to basically transfer on to the Pokemon storage system. So you've got to at least commit to a year. Then you can see how the service works. If you rely on the service, it will you then either do a yearly subscription or end up basically like taking yourself out of the service entirely, depending on what you want to do. They haven't announced the fee yet, how much it's going to cost as of yet, so we've got to wait on that. It might be a simple, say, $30 a year, or it could be something even deeper, depending on what they want to do. Sam, what about you?
I don't really know, honestly, because I'll probably be one of the ones that pays for it. If X and Y ends up being something amazing, then I'll probably be the one to pay for it. But as of right now, I don't really need it because I haven't, I've played Black and White and Black and White version 2.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite, because my favorite was, like, the original three, like, red, yellow, blue were my absolute favorite, and then gold and sapphire. Sapphire was the last one I actually played and finished. Got all the Pokemon, beat the gyms, you know, over and over and over again. But black and white, I was kind of disappointed. Of course, half the Pokemon looked retarded and weren't worthy of being called Pokemon. But I'm waiting to see what they do with X and Y before I go on to do the subscription. I have to see what they're bringing to the table that's different.
Yeah, I think it's going to cater to the completionists, the people that's been loyal to the series since day one. And like I went to the mall today, and I was visiting a person that worked at a shoe store that I go to, and we were talking about Pokemon, and her and her friend that they work together, and right now they've tried to collect every single Pokemon, and I think something like that will cater to them that are trying to have a complete Pokédex. But for someone like me that's just playing X and Y just to play it as a game, I don't really see where I'm going to be putting down the money for it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that one. It's one of those things where I'm all for buying a Pokemon game, but at the same sense, like investing in a cloud storage system, you've got to literally be hardcore in terms of this. And I'm a cheap sod, so that doesn't really help as well.
Yeah, Pokemon is just an RPG for me. Like, I play Pokemon and play the games, I play them with friends and do some battles, and then a year and a half later, I'll put it down and I'll go to another game. That's just the way I am with Pokemon. I'm not a diehard Pokemon fan like I was when I was like, 11 or 12.
Yeah.
So.
Well, no, totally agreement on that one. What about you, Travis? What do you think of this? Do you think the storage system's a good thing, bad thing? The fact that they're going to make you want to transfer your Pokemon over from your old black and white carts and X and Y using this system, does it make you want to buy it or not?
Well, that's a good question because obviously this is going to cater to the hardcore fans, but for like casual fans, that it leaves someone on the fence, I would think. I mean, for me, the only Pokemon experience I've had, and this goes way, way back, is Pokemon Blue, and that was like the only game in the series I ever played, and I kept getting stuck with that stupid ass Snorlax was in the fucking way, and I kept trying to get past it, and I was like, fuck it.
I have a funny story with the early Pokemons, Red and Blue in particular. I'm pretty sure all you guys know about the Missing No glitch. And, this is back before the internet and everything, and this is all word of mouth. I remember my friend told me about this glitch and showed it to me because I didn't believe him, that I could get 99 Master Balls and 99 rare candies. And he told me, he was like, whatever you do, don't catch Missing No because it'll mess up your game. Well, I thought that he was just saying that to me because he didn't want me to catch Missing No and kick his butt every time. So I caught Missing No, and it deleted my whole save file. And every time I would try to start a new game, it would just keep crashing. And this is back when Walmart had a great return policy because I went back to Walmart and returned my blue version and got red and had to start from square one. And I think Pokemon wasn't the same afterwards. I kind of lost faith in Pokemon after that. I had still enjoyed the series. I still want a Pokemon Snap to come out on the Wii U. I've been wanting a new Snap for years. But, yeah, that's my funny story about Pokemon. Mm-hmm. Don't catch Missing No.
Nikki, just joining us is Nikki Mills. Nikki, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
You got any thoughts on the whole storage system thing? Nintendo basically stated that they've opened up a Pokebank, and if you want to transfer your Pokemon from Black and White and Black and White 2, you have to use in the Pokebank and then transfer from the bank over to the new X and Y game. And this Pokebank thing is going to be costing some money, so you've got to pay a yearly subscription for it in order to use it.
I thought you could do that in other games, like the DS ones, for free.
Nope, they're basically saying that if it's an older game, they've got to literally... Well, for the old games, you could have done, it's like, you can still do the person-to-person transfer online, But if you're going to transfer from the older generation of games, which is the black and white games, over to X and Y, you have to do so via the Pokebank. Because you've got to download an extra app.
I will literally just keep my older versions of each game, because I think it's stupid.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. The great thing as well, though, with this game is that they're actually reintroducing the starters from Pokemon Red and Blue. So you get your first starter Pokemon, which is the ones that come with X and Y, and then in the middle of the game, the professor, I don't know if it's Oak or whoever the professor is in this one, is going to be giving you another set of Pokemon, and you get to choose out the three, and they're the original Squirtle, Charmander, and Bulbasaur. So what's the thoughts on that one, guys? Huh? Bit of nostalgia in there.
I think it's cool. Honestly, I saw the fourth generations, and I didn't really see that big of a difference. I'm like, oh, cool, Bulbasaur has an extra cannon, and then not Bulbasaur, but Blastoise has an extra cannon, and Bulbasaur has more flowers on his back. That's really cool. But the one that I'm really excited about is Mewtwo. Apparently, like, he's going to have another evolve version, and to me, he looks like the second form of Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. And I'm kind of excited about that. I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, so I saw that and I was like, oh, it's Frieza. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's something fresh for, like, the old school fans, like you said, the nostalgia. But I think it's cool. I like it.
What about you, Nikki? Do you like the fact that you get to actually play the first versions of your starter Pokemon in this game?
Yeah, I think it's pretty nifty. I mean, it's not something absolutely spectacular I'm, like, jumping up and down about, but I guess it's cool. But I don't really have a whole lot to say with it, because honestly, I haven't played Pokemon in ages. I haven't played since, I want to say Diamond and Pearl. So, and I did get Heart Gold, but that was still, 4 years ago?
Yeah, that's where I stopped, was Heart Gold, and I got it just because I was peer pressured by my friends, and that Pokemon little Pokemon thing that you put on your hip was really cool. I would always give it to my friends at my old job that would walk around a lot. I'm like, here, put this on. They're like, what is it? I'm like, don't ask, just keep walking.
Oh, the Pokewalker?
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool little nifty thing. That made me feel nostalgic with the Hey You Pikachu. Yeah. That made me feel nostalgic with that, because I remember Hey You Pikachu came out during the heyday of the Tamagotchis and the Digimon, so that was cool.
And last but not least, as Xander was touching on, Mega Evolutions. Basically, there's not much going around in regards to how these happen, but you have a wristband that has a gem in it. And your Pokemon will have a gem attached to them. And as soon as you activate this gem, it actually brings about their Mega Evolution, which is like a fourth stage. So it's like a fourth and final stage for them. It's like the fourth and final stage for the Pokemon themselves. So like Bulbasaur, they have an extra evolution version in terms of Sam. Sorry, I think you need to mute your mic there, because I can.
It's not me.
No, Sam. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah.
Got some behind the scenes action going on.
I think we do. Yeah. We have.
My little sister and boyfriend barged in. I thought I muted my mic in time, but I guess I didn't. Apologies. Sorry.
No worries. I think now you get to listen to the life of Samantha Jennings for a little bit. Conversations and all. So yeah, they've got the Mega Evolutions of these Pokemon. You got the Charmander, the Bulbasaur, and the Squirtles. They're followed through their evolutions. They have a fourth evolution, it's the Mega Evolution. But the thing about it, from what I've seen in the video, it looks temporary. So sort of like it's one of those where you could do a certain move, initiate the bracelet, and have them turn into their Mega Evolution form before degrading back to their previous form. So we'll find out a lot more about it eventually as we go from there. So with the news done, let's ask you, Nikki, have you got any news for us this week? From non-response, I'd say no. Let's move on to...
Were you talking to me? I had my mic mute. My mic muted. I was talking to somebody. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Do you have any news for us?
I honestly I don't really have anything. I haven't come prepared. Like you know already. It's been a hectic day.
Oh, no worries. Let's move on from there then and segue on to the theme of today's show.
Should be able to like 10. And
So yes, today's theme, as you guys know, is how far is too far in gaming. The games that you basically like to see, the legislations that have been put in play, and the accusations that have been made towards gamers and games, basically deriving that we're the worst people on earth, apparently. So let's go into it a little bit. The reason why this topic was brought forth was due to a... well, it was from Travis Goss. So Travis, can you explain to us what type of games would you feel have gone too far?
Well, we'll mention like Saints Row 4. I mean, I haven't played it personally, but I've heard from a lot of other reviewers. Spoonie has actually got a really nice review about the game and how bizarre and crazy it is. And it's like, there's like some of the weapons, like a big purple dildo. What?
It's like the purple dildo sword, isn't it? It's got like the little sword thing at the bottom there, and it's just like flailing about everywhere.
In Saints Row 4, it's a tentacle weapon.
So it's going more into sort of hentai regions.
Yep.
Now, with a lot of accusations being made by certain people in the quote-unquote gaming industry and also those who are in political power, we can see the fact that now, more than ever, as gaming tends to sort of overstep its boundaries, you have these people crying out, you know, how unchristian it is to play certain games, or how gamers are the worst scum in the earth because we make people want to go and shoot other people. So let's delve into that a little bit, because I want to talk about, for instance, a situation where Jay Rockefeller, in December 2012, he tried to introduce a bill calling for the National Academy of Sciences to study video game violence on children, speaking about the recent Brown v. EMA Supreme Court decision, which criticised the existing research and inconsistency of methodology flawed. Rockefeller stated that the recent court decision demonstrates that some people still don't get it, that they believe that violent video games are no more dangerous than young minds, than classic literature or Saturday morning cartoons. Parents, pediatricians, psychologists know better, apparently, and these court decisions show that we need to do more to explore ways that Congress can lay additional groundwork on this issue. This report will be a critical resource in the process, etc., etc. Now, think about that for a second. People are targeting and saying that games are causing children to be violent. Let's look at games like Saints Row 4, for instance. Is Saints Row 4 catered towards children? So I'll start with you, Xander.
You know, I was just about to say, it's funny because gaming has this thing called a rating system. Okay, just like the movies, you know, you wouldn't buy your kid, Debbie Does Dallas for Christmas. That's not really a stocking stuffer. So, it takes me back to the years that I worked at Babbage's or GameStop, and I used to relish, and I loved, this sounds like I'm a horrible person, but I used to love it when little kids, like 7-year-olds, would try to buy Grand Theft Auto 3, and I could tell them, I can't sell you this game because it's rated M for mature. And for those of you listeners that don't realize that if anyone sells a video game to a minor that's not at the right rating, you get in just as much trouble. It's a felony. It's about the same as selling a pack of cigarettes. And I would tell these kids that, and the kids would leave, completely ticked off at me and bring their parents in. The parents would be mad at me, and I would turn the cover over, and I would say everything that was in the game. And, what's really surprising is I would tell them, this game has violence, sexual themes, but whenever I would get to the drug use, that's when the parents would flip out, and, the thing is, it's easy to blame the media, whether it be music, movies, video games. It's easy to blame them because, a parent doesn't want to know on their conscience that all people are wired differently. I grew up. I was 7 years old when I played Mortal Kombat. I was 7 years old when I played that game. No, I'm not ripping the heads off people's heads and pulling their spines out or ripping hearts out. I'm a very nonviolent person. But I think when we have tragedies that happen, like we found out recently about the kid that shot his grandma playing Grand Theft Auto, it seems easier on the parent's conscience to blame someone else than to figure out that, maybe your kid had a mental problem. Maybe there was something wrong upstairs, So it's hard for me to blame video games, not just because I'm a gamer, but just because, like I said, it has a rating system. You got to follow that rating system, I don't get it.
That's the thing as well. And going back to our previous conversation about the Nintendo Entertainment System, for instance, that's a very child-friendly console. But I own Assassin's Creed 4 and that, and I'm not going to get my kids to play Assassin's Creed 4, knowing the fact that the thing is extremely violent, And going on to the games that they can play Tank, that's fine. It's got a small amount of violence on that. If you're looking at the Mario games, the Nintendo Land, and loads of other games that are more catered towards children, you're not going to basically get the mature games and say, oh, here, son, here's a copy of Condemned, go nuts. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it does. It really doesn't. I have two nephews, and they're really young, 1, 5 months, two. They're really, really young, and they're not going to be gaming for another year or so, but I'm definitely going to mold them. But when I mold them, I'm not going to have them play, Grand Theft Auto 3. I'm going to be like, let's play Super Mario Brothers. Let's play Mega Man, And again, I grew up in the generation of Mortal Kombat when it first came out, Street Fighter, Power Rangers, and not once did I, try to do any of that stuff on anyone because I knew it was just entertainment. And unfortunately, some kids don't realize that. And again, that's where the rating system comes in. You don't show that stuff if they're not the right age for it,
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what the ESRB system is, it's the Entertainment Software Rating Board. Now, it's pretty much like over here we have the BBFC in the UK. I don't know what your system is over in the States. Could someone enlighten me on that?
Well, I mean, you got the E for everyone and T for teen, M for mature. But I do want to say one thing. The first arcade cabinet that had an NC-17 rating was Splatterhouse.
There you go. Again, they wouldn't allow kids to sort of go and play that arcade cabinet unless you're just really weird. The whole issue with this spawns on the fact that kids can't go and purchase age-restricted content because games needed to be legislated, because there were children going out there buying certain games and people were just selling them willy-nilly because corporations were looking at the underlying profit. But there is a way around this system. I know it's over here in the UK, there's a way around it. I don't know if it's over in the States as well. And again, I'll probably need to get enlightened on this. The ESRB rating, if there's a say, basically a product that's rated mature, like Saints Row 4, that kid can get their parent or an adult to come and purchase that, and there's no repercussions.
Exactly. Like I said earlier with my GameStop story, sometimes they would still purchase like Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, but in my opinion, that's when it goes on the parents.
Yeah,
because
of course.
they chose to let their children play that game. Like I said, I would turn the case over and I would tell them it's got drug references, it's got sexual themes, it's got violence. I would even go in detail. I'm like, the first mission, you're going on like a cocaine run, in Cuba, something like that, and they'd just be like, okay, well, I guess I'll buy that game for my child. At that point, my hands are clean. That's their decision,
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that one. Because of being a parent, you have to be accountable for what your child does. There's so many people who think that the state babysits their children. Like school teachers, when they're at school, babysit your children. When they're with you, you're accountable for them. You're always accountable for them. If anything happens to that child, you're accountable for it. If they're getting brought up a certain way, playing certain forms of entertainment. I've seen YouTube vids of like girls sitting there swearing at people, and this like 5-year-old swearing at people while her dad's playing Call of Duty. That's not really helping them. It's weird. It looks funny at the time, but it's also concerning, especially if you're in child services. So Sam, what's your opinion on this? What do you think about the whole rating system? Do you think it's accountable for the parent?
I believe it's primarily on the parent.
I think, I don't think it really has to do with the game in itself, Granted, there are some very explicit things in video games, but also, I mean, like, I grew up growing up with just all boys playing violent video games, and I'm not killing people and running over people in my car. A lot of it I've seen people who people who are influenced that way I think it is a lack of attention towards the parent, because you may see on a video game, like Mortal Kombat, let's say, people can rip each other's spines out in that game, but if you're seeing that and nothing else, and proper childcare and proper upbringing, that's one thing.
I would love to see.
What?
I would love to see someone like shoot up a school because of Animal Crossing. That'd be another fun one, wouldn't it? Is that Tom Nook?
I've also seen children who grow up with parents who don't really care, and they're sitting there playing the video games as well, and illicitly like drinking or doing something to influence it. Just lack of childcare. There could be a video game with a ton of cussing in it, but they're not going to get it from the video game. They're going to get it if the parent is influencing it as well, because that's what they look up to. I don't think anyone solely looks up to a single video game as a role model.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, I was about to say, I could play the devil's advocate on this and be like, Pokemon, playing that at a young age kind of taught me how to blow people off. Because I don't know about you guys that played Pokemon, but unfortunately I wasn't the kid that had a link cable. And sometimes you would find that kid that did have a link cable, and you would, this sounds really bad by the way, but you would become friends with that kid. You'd become friends with that kid, and you would trade Pokemon, and after a while the kid, thought you were a friend, like, hey man, you wanna come over and watch some Pokemon movies, or you wanna hang out? And I would just be like, nah man, I can't come over to anyone's house, my mom's crazy, And
you're sitting here playing, but I do that all the time.
So, I mean, I could play a devil's advocate and be like, Pokemon taught me how to use and blow off people, but that's not in the media. Instead we have, Grand Theft Auto and Mortal Kombat.
No, but that's the same thing here. If you look at it, it's basically, I've always said when a child comes into this world, and I think I can use my little children as a primary example with this, they learn things from their parents. They look up to you. You're their role model. Their parents, their uncles, their aunties, and they're so full of love. And then it's literally society in general and being the people that are surrounding them is what makes them lose that. You know, they get these flaws and these surroundings from the people that they're around, their aunties, their uncles, their mums, their dads, you know, and then it gets to the point where they make certain choices, you know. Oh yeah, and Sam, yes,
Yeah.
and aunties. But yeah, go on, Nikki, you had a counterpoint on that?
Sorry. Yeah, I was gonna agree with you. I mean, honestly, there are some things that I would be uncomfortable showing a 4-year-old child if it was on TV or something extremely like illicit. I would feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Every parent would, but at the same time, I mean, there are tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of studies showing that video games help with coordination, help with focusing, help with learning, advancements in school and whatnot, and there's nothing but just, like there's all these studies to back that up, but the only thing that gets the spotlight is the negativity saying that it causes violence when someone goes and shoots up a school, but there's no study towards that. I've never seen a study for that. I've just seen people talk about it on the news.
That's
so, I mean,
what they're looking at the moment.
I think that people aren't showing the positives of video games and how they obviously do help people with learning and with focusing abilities and whatnot in school and coordination and everything. But the minute someone does something wrong because of their own well-being or the way they were brought up or whatever, it's always pointed towards video games if they find out that they've played them.
Yeah, that's where that's definitely where media is more focused on anything when it comes to negativity. I mean, that's what brings the ratings in. And, you know, I can honestly say from my experience, and I mentioned this in my Dragon Warrior Memories video, that Dragon Warrior I played it at a very young age. I played it when I was like 5 or 6 years old. Dragon Warrior, it made me excel in reading, believe it or not, because when I was young, I didn't like books. I thought books were very uninteresting. I didn't find enjoyment in reading Huckleberry Finn, but I did find enjoyment playing RPGs and learning how to defeat the Dragon Lord. That was my accelerated reading right there, and my mom bought me that game out of accident. Like, she didn't realize the game had that much reading, but when she did, she kind of played it off. She's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to learn how to read more if you want to play this game," you know. But that's what made me interested in reading when I was such a young age, because I wanted to know more about this game and I wanted to read more. And Dragon Warrior is still one of my favorite RPGs of all time.
I don't even know this. I don't care.
That's the thing as well. It gives incentives. I'm going to use my youngest daughter, Hina. Nikki's loves her to pieces. Your little favourite, Nikki. She basically got a game of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. She's been playing Disney Infinity with her mum and stuff as well. And she's picked up gaming to a whole new level. I can put an Xbox pad in her hand. She knows the buttons, she knows the functions, she knows how to use the Kinect, and she was playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and she was literally put together a thought process on how to get around situations, how to assess situations, and how to plan and get herself through it. And she's now 5 years old, and literally just sitting there, she's playing with the pad, and she's going through, she goes, right, I need to do this and get through here. Oh, look, they've one of the wall's fallen down. I need to go through this space. Let me see if I can try and do that. And she's problem solving. And I was so proud. I was literally sitting there just looking at her, watching her improve. And she's come a long way since she initially started gaming with me. Since I started introducing her to the Wii. And when she moved up to the Wii U, and she's been really, really good with the Xbox 360 as well. She only plays games, because what I've done is I've literally taken away all the games that I know are dodgy, that they can't, that got content on them that they shouldn't be playing. And I kept the games like Sonic Generations, Sonic Racers Transformed, and other games that are loaded onto the console that they can play. And the great thing about it is that's all been legislated. None of them have gold accounts, because she once said something through the mic of the Kinect where she said to someone, "Oh, I love you," like that as a joke. I had some pervy guy trying to message her. And it really annoyed me to the point where, because she was using my ex-wife's account, I was saying to her, "Look, you know what? don't do that. Don't let her use your gold account. She goes, why? I said, she just talked to someone online because you've got that activated. Now I'm going to turn that off and get the parental controls on your account. Because at the time because I purchased family accounts, I could legislate everything on those accounts, which I did in the kids' account, but they found a way around it with their mother's account. This pervy guy was sitting there messaging me, and I went to him straight, listen, she's a little kid. At the time, she was about 4 years old. Leave her alone. Oh, I'm just talking, and, I just want to know where that voice came from. I said, no, you don't need to know where that voice came from.
Oh, wow.
Get lost. And I was saying to him straight, I reported him to Microsoft, got the guy banned, and said to him, and just left it at that. And I was saying to my daughter, explaining to her the reason why she shouldn't say certain things, why she shouldn't do that, behave herself, because you get people like these on these services, because they're there. They'll prey on innocent people, just like with Facebook, just like with any other sort of automated account, because as a parent, you have to be there to legislate it. And that's my responsibility with the Xbox 360, with the Wii U, with the Wii, with everything. I have to legislate them, and it's my job to make sure that they don't go online. If they're going online, I have to supervise them. You're not going to just put a laptop in front of them and let them do something, because with kids, they're not at that age where they can make appropriate choices. And you have to basically sit down and talk with them and let them know that there are consequences to certain actions. And that's why I believe is where the problem is. You can have people blaming society and gaming and stuff like that for this. Oh, it's the content producers. It's not. It's the people that are responsible for it. It's the parents. It's the teachers. It's the individuals that are basically legislating over this. If the ESRB rating was enforced for everyone, that the people weren't so concerned about the bottom line, I could tell you for straight that if someone went in and bought a game, and again, I've seen this in a game store, where a guy buys a game on behalf of a child, of a 12-year-old child, because he wanted a copy of an FPS shooter, I believe it's Call of Duty Black Ops. He was told initially, you're not supposed to buy it. He got a guy to buy it on his behalf. If it was a video, if it was cigarettes, if it was a lottery ticket, this guy would have been told no, and also told if he did it again, he would have actually come under scrutiny. So basically, the police could have been called, because it's literally like buying alcohol for kids.
Yeah. Kids are little sponges, man. They suck into all this information. It's very true. So, I really agree with that. They need to take video gaming just as serious as they do anything else, and all that is towards the parents, in my opinion. Yeah,
because it's lax. What's happened at the moment is, as I said, it's there, it's being enforced, but it's only being enforced at one party, which is children. They found that they can get around this by getting someone else involved and equating a third party towards it. Then the transaction takes place. The game shop's responsible for it because they're not going to face any fine over it unless they've knowingly sold it to a child, and which they have done. They've just done it through a third party. They know that this transaction is taking place, but it's GameStop, it's Game, it's these stores. They I've got to still sell him the game, and every right they do have to, and it's on the clerk. I remember working for a store where, if I was selling a child, if I sold someone who was a proxy, as they would call it, if I sold a proxy alcohol or cigarettes or a lottery ticket, and I knew that was going to the child, they could be part of trading standards, who have basically sent a dummy in there, and you've sold that to him. You come back, they come back in, they'll fine you, and you could face a prison sentence if you do it again.
Yeah, it's like would you let your kid watch Nightmare on Elm Street? No. Then why would you let your kid play Dead Space? Well,
I remember my brother, my nephew was going to me, oh, Uncle, I want to play a zombie game. I love zombies. I was like, do you want me to show you some footage for Zombie U? And he went, what do you mean? And I just showed him like a millisecond of footage. He was screaming, turn it off. I was like, you sure? I was like, this zombie ends up doing this and this and this and this. And he's like, I don't want to watch it. I was like, right, so now you know you can't play that game. I don't want to ever play that game. Yep, great. Leave it at that.
And then you kindly let him borrow Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Yeah.
You're like, here, play this. So you like zombies? Play Plants vs. Zombies. That's a little bit more age appropriate.
Yeah, that's what I do. I talk to him about games that he can play. I'm like, he's like, oh, I want to play Mortal Kombat. No, here's an idea. Why don't you play Smash Brothers Brawl?
Yeah.
That's cartoon violence. That's fine. And you let them know what's right for them and what isn't. So let's segue over to Travis here as well. Travis, you haven't talked much. Let's ask you this question. Do you feel that it's on the parents, or do you think that the game companies need to implement a better system in terms of their games?
I think here's the thing. You can't really blame the game companies and the rating system, because they've done everything they could to advocate parents to let them know that certain games are appropriate for certain ages, and that's a given. And I think it's all on the parents who need to become more informed about the types of video games their kids are interested in, and pay more attention to the rating system. I mean, the point is already made that you wouldn't let a 7-year-old child go see an R-rated film. And the same can be applied to video games. And also the same can be applied to music as well. I mean, you wouldn't let a small child listen to, like, the latest rap CD that's, like, loaded with lots of swearing and sexual innuendos, and they've got a parental advisory label on it. The sole responsibility is on the parents. And that's where the gaming industry gets such a bad name, is because, it's because this 13-year-old kid shut up his school. He was playing Grand Theft Auto. Let's take a look at the family life. I mean, who's letting the kids playing these games or things of that nature? And also, who's trying to mentor these children? It's parents and adults need to do more to advocate better video games and habits for their children. I mean, it's upsetting right now that the government is trying to step in and do what they can to punish those, like I lost my point. Damn it. I had such a nice little tangent there. But no, it's just, I really hate when the government is trying to tell us what to do and the parents are so irresponsible. That's what the problem is right there. The parents are completely inept. They're not with it.
Yeah, like a Nintendo isn't a babysitter.
Right. So I really think that it's not the gaming industry's fault. It's not the ratings. It's just people have to get in the know. That's the bottom line.
Does have vodka in it.
It's
so good, right?
I remember as well.
4 or 5 shots of vodka in yours alone. And yours alone has 4 or 5, and you can't even taste it.
We're hearing Sam again.
I put about 20 ounces of vodka in it.
Sam, hello.
What?
You need to mute your mic because you're having a conversation.
No, it was on mute. Oh, my mic is being retarded. No, my mic was muted, but it's being retarded, so it's picking up sound.
There's a little mute button.
I think it's actually picking up through the laptop.
Okay, there's a mute button on the Skype as well, Sam.
I think it's actually picking up through the laptop instead of my... I'm sorry.
Sorry. No worries. Yeah, basically, we're on the whole situation where there has to be accountability. And again, I've had this, it's not just gaming, it's not just videos, it's also music as well. You have so many music videos, like Miley Cyrus, for instance. How many people are looking up to Miley Cyrus? And
looking up at her. Yeah.
And then you have people going on about twerking, which I've seen. There was one video that I saw, which I'm going to give props to Sam Lascio for actually showing it. And it was a woman talking about people how to do twerking, and then she stopped in the middle of the video and said, well, those people who want to do twerking don't have self-respect and shouldn't be doing stuff like this in front of, like, men, for instance, or in front of anybody, because that's not the sort of thing that you do in public. And then she was going to go back and do it, and they went, oh yeah, that reminds me, I'm only going to do that for my husband. And it just stopped. And it brought the whole issue on self-esteem and how you've got certain role models dancing provocatively, doing certain things provocatively, where you've got to sit there and actually view what your kids are seeing, because then it gets to the point where you're like, okay, my son's playing it. Oh, this is called Dead Space. You ignore the rating. Okay, son, that would be great. kid puts it in, you're cooking dinner and stuff, you're ignoring what he's doing, you know, he's sitting there, cutting, hacking, slashing things, and he's making a choice to play this game and to go into this whole sort of realm of things, you know. It's the same thing with anything, and you sit there and you think to yourself, as a parent, I'm doing my job, but you're not, because you're not viewing what your kids are viewing. You're not trying to let them know why this is wrong, why you should be viewing this outside of the box instead of immersing yourself in this, thinking that this is okay to do in the real world. I'm not going to play Dead Space 3 and then think I'm going to collapse a moon on the planet Earth. I'm not going to literally try and get on a space shuttle saying that I'm going to kill everybody using the moon. It doesn't make sense, you know. You're not going to go on a chicken quest because you played The Legend of Zelda. It's about your parent to make sure that they do the proper thing and, you know, make sure that they're accountable for anything that happens in terms of their children. Now, let's segue off of that anyway and go into another little part of the topic as well, and that's Anita Sarkeesian. And we need to talk about this a little bit as well in terms of who she is. We've had rants on this show. I've had rants on my YouTube channel as well about who this woman is and what she talks about in terms of her whole Tropes vs. Gamers series. Now, I put an image on the I Got Gameplay Facebook page as well for people in terms of the fact where they're saying that game developers objectify women, they show boobs, and they show certain images, and as Travis has touched upon, Saints Row 4, where you can have sexual encounters. Is the game industry itself objectifying women? Have we gone too far in that stance? So start with you, Xander.
Let's see. This is the whole like the sexuality with games.
Yeah. Is it? Do we feel that have we, in terms of the industry itself, are we objectifying women? Are we gone so far that, you know, with in a sense where we're basically showing women in a certain light? Like I think the biggest one to date was Lightning Returns, where Square Enix have basically made her boobs bigger because apparently the whole like the production designer behind her wants, you know, is in love with her or something like that. So he wanted to make her boobs bigger and her ass tighter and stuff. Are they gone to the point where they're objectifying women, or it's got to the point where women in general are just being shown towards the way that the developer wants it, not towards the way that the gaming in general works?
I think it's the whole like sex sells. Pretty much, you know, we can go back to the whole Miley Cyrus and twerking and, you know, stuff like that. All that stuff gets so much attention that anyone that's standing from a profit point of view is going to go towards that because they see the money, you know, when it all comes down to it. So, you know, it's no doubt that, you know, a game like, you know, like playing Final Fantasy VII, Tifa, you know, she's well endowed, and you know, a lot of people cater to that. A lot of people are like, you know, sex sells, you know. So I think it's a mixture of maybe the developers, you know, doing what the media thinks is going to catch off and people doing feedback on that, you know.
What about you, Nikki, as being a woman yourself? What do you think? Do you think that they're objectifying women too much, or it's just basically, you know, men are writing women. They don't know how to write good, strong women. They're not just Wendon.
This is gonna be my final part, by the way, because I have to go.
Oh, no worries. Go for it.
Out of all of the video games I have played since I have been on this earth, I can think of maybe 2 that are for the purpose of just a sexual icon and nothing more. One of those, obviously, being Grand Theft Auto. And the second one, maybe the second one, Lollipop Chainsaw. But Lollipop Chainsaw, one thing I didn't like that she was talking about in general is how basically in every video game out of the hundreds and thousands of video games on this earth, she's saying that almost every single video game, it's this woman who is completely helpless and does nothing but sit around waiting to be saved, which I can think of like 6, 7, 8 characters who are the main characters in video games who kick ass, you know? And no, they're not all for sexual purposes. But I feel like every time you put a set of tits on a woman, every feminist, like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for equality for male and female, but every, like, raging feminist is going to, like, blow her head off because, oh my god, we put boobs on a woman, and we put it in a video game. And they're automatically going to take that as a sign of weakness, and they're just going to be oogled at men, which is not the case at all. And so, I mean, there are 2 different sides to the story, but the one side that's mainly in the wrong is the picture that Anita is trying to paint here, saying that every woman in video games are helpless when they're not. If she actually sat down and researched female video game characters, you have Lara Croft, you have Jill Valentine, there's just so many who are the main character who upstage the men in a lot of cases. I'm going to go in Mortal Kombat, too. If the right character playing her, you can be Jade and royally whip ass with everyone. It's not just they're sitting there helpless and, oh my god, I'm a woman, and I'm being objectified every time I breathe. It's not like that. If we didn't, and they're saying that because we're putting women in video games. Now, if we didn't put women in video games, they'd be suing the same thing. So it's basically a lose-lose situation to everyone who is not Anita Sarkeesian. And I don't, in the thing saying that, she basically said playing video games is a man's thing when it's not, obviously. I play me and Samantha are 2 examples of that, and I have tons of friends who are females who play video games. One of my coworkers at GameStop was one of the greatest video game players I've ever met in my entire life, and that's all her and her husband did was play video games. So I think Anita needed to do her research and open her eyes a little more before she said anything.
I think what she needs to do is she needs to beat the original Metroid and see the ending that Metroid or Samus or whatever is actually a woman.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that, and I'm pretty sure she might be one of them. But Burhan, it was great being on here. I'm sorry I have to leave such short notice and all that.
That's fine, Nikki. Do you want to plug anything?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. It's _NMills. If you already follow anybody else on the podcast, you can just go through their followers or people they follow, because I think I follow basically everyone on here. I think. But yeah, I am a contributor to fanboysanonymous.com. You can go and subscribe to the YouTube channel from them, go like the Facebook page, all that crap, and you can find me on Tumblr. It's voteforsatan.tumblr.com.
You have my vote.
Yeah, so it's been great, and I hope to see you guys next week.
All right, bye, Nikki. Take care.
You too, Nikki. Take care. So yeah, that's Nikki's point of view on this whole situation. Sam, what about you? Do you think Anita's gone a bit too far in terms of the way that she views female gamers, that she's just basically putting her own biased view across, that, it's not in terms of men seeing women as weak, but more the fact that she's just trying to paint that picture in order to create some controversy, so to speak?
Well, Nikki primarily, hits the nail on the head for the most part. In my article that I did, Anita paints just about every single woman that she talks about in video games as damsel in distress, as the weaker character in most games. And like Nikki said, and what I also said in my article that I did, characters like Samus, the main character from Remember Me, Resident Evil 5, sister, her brother, went missing and having no experience in combat. She just went off and went to save him. And she wasn't, physically endowed in the least bit. She wasn't like Bayonetta, And granted, that's one of those few games that, the the womanly figure was made to sell. Because honestly, if, and I'm a little bit guilty of this.
Sam?
To some games I do buy, because the woman is portrayed that way. I just want to see how it actually plays. Because I want to see if there's actually,
No, I'm sorry, you lagged out there for a second. So yeah, as you were saying, you buy some games because of the mechanics, not because of who the protagonist is.
Right, and I mean, some games, because of the cover art and because of some of the videos I've seen of women portrayed as a sexual object, I do check them out to see how they're portrayed. Not necessarily because I'm angry about it, just to see how, that scenario of, it's hard to describe, I guess how the sexually inclined person is portrayed in the game and how it fits in the storyline. Because you could have the sexiest woman in a game, the game sucks. So no one's really going to buy it. They're not going to acknowledge that the character is used for a bad purpose. It's just they look sexy. That's it. I buy games because, it's good. Like, it's got a great story. I'm willing to play it over and over again. I'm not going to get bored with it. But, Anita, she just took every single game and put it in the dumps. She made every single woman sound, like they were just there in the game that just needed to be saved. And she was saying that the males are being portrayed more as a dominant figure than women, which is not true. Like Nikki said, a lot of games, even now, a woman is coming out as the more dominant figure in video games. And they're not all physically endowed in the least bit. So, she had good points, but at the same time, her view is horribly skewed. Either one actually works.
I would have
but,
What's up, Internet Wrestling community? This is Anthony Mango of SmarkOutMoment.com, a wrestling website dedicated to the smart marks like you and I. We break down and review every pay-per-view with predictions and spoilers, and you can catch our weekly podcast on YouTube for some smack talk. There's no rules here, and we show no mercy. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment, where we analyze all the angles, shoot first, and kill kayfabe. That's www.smarkoutmoment.com. Why mark out when you can smark out?
No, you're fine.
No, I was about to say, I would have loved to see her reaction to the guy game.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
Oh, what a piece of trash that was.
The guy game? I don't even know what that is. What is that?
Oh, my God.
It's an old PS2 game. Look it up.
I'll tell about it. What it is, it's a quiz game, right? And
yeah, it's like a trivia game.
And what happens is the host gets these women and they ask them questions, right? Now here's where you come in this game. You have to basically wager if they're going to get the question right or they're going to get it wrong. If they get it right, you earn points. And depending on what happens, if they get the question wrong, they have to show off their boobs. Now, here's the thing: the point system.
It's kind of like strip poker online.
Yeah, but what you do is, the more points you actually earn, the better chance you get to see their tits. Like in the beginning, when they go to Flash, they have something covering their boobs, like the logo for the guy game, or is it like smiley faces or something. And as you get more points, you get blurs over their boobs. And if you get the maximum points, you get to see them in their full glory, as it were.
Here you go, son. Here's the guy game. Go nuts. He says to his little 2-year-old.
Learn to be a fan.
The game did so poorly that they actually re-released it for DVD, and it was called The Guy Game, Game Over. So you get.
Well, they pulled that game off the markets too because one of the girls was underage.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're like 17.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yep.
That's just, I don't know what to say about that game. One of the reasons I probably never heard it is because they probably never had any international release for that. Especially the fact that the host of the game as well, he looks like he's just got some weird face going on there.
He's a bro man.
But yeah, Travis, you want to say something?
Yeah, I do. Here's how I look at it. First of all, Anita, you are a fucking dumbass twat. Let's get that out of the way. Now to get on to my point.
Just tell me what you feel, Travis.
I did. Damn it, it felt good. No, seriously. Here's how I look at it. Ever since there's been entertainment forms of television, radio, not so much radio, it's like radio shows, I guess, films, books, music, there's always something that says, like there is like a damsel in distress. I mean, I do get her point, but let's keep this in mind. There are some badass women in video games, right, that take full control, like the elephant in the room. We mentioned Lara Croft, okay? Men objectify her, of course, because, well, she's fucking hot. But she's a very strong, independent woman. She doesn't take any bullshit. And, she's just a strong, strong character. Now, on the other side of this coin, you have some of these women in these games that are labeled as the damsel in distress. But keep this in mind. When women are in trouble, this actually connects with the player. They want to go and rescue her. Think about that. Going in there trying to find her, try to get her back, because obviously we don't want anything to happen to them. And the feminists out there who complain about this kind of game, you know what? It's just entertainment, okay? Find a better thing to bitch about. I'm sorry. Anita Sarkeesian, I'm sorry. You are wasting your time. You're wasting your breath. You're not proving anything. You have done such terrible research. You are just pulling clips off of YouTube, not playing the games yourself, not trying to learn anything about the gaming industry or some of these storylines. You're just putting together a bunch of propaganda so that way you can look like you're the victim. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy that propaganda.
And it's not always the woman that's in the stress. I mean, play Resident Evil Code Veronica or Resident Evil 2. Claire's going after her brother Chris, which we all know if you played Resident Evil, Chris can take care of himself, but for some reason she's looking for him. So the tables turned on that game,
Yep.
Yeah, and there's also, if you look at, as well, the new one that's just come out, Resident Evil, it was originally on the 3DS. I'm trying to... Revelations,
yeah.
Yeah. Chris is basically, tied up. He's gone missing. Again, it's gone back to the whole sort of role reversal thing that's going on here. There are stronger female protagonists. There's even female antagonists that are extremely strong. When you look at stuff like this, it really irks me a lot because of the fact that, you have someone like Sarkeesian taking advantage of something which there's no relevance to it. It doesn't need to be there. It doesn't need to be said. It's just being said because she feels that she wants to make a point across when there's no point to be made in the first place. And another one, I'm going to go and leave a link when we archive the podcast in regards to this, but there has been a female YouTuber who's she's part of the gaming industry. I've forgotten what her name was. Do apologise on that, but she made a very valid point. A lot of game developers don't know how to make strong female characters, and because of that, they write what they know. You can't expect a man in an office to basically write a game about a strong female unless he knows about it. And the reason why you get stories where men saving women or women saving men is because they're drawn from certain archetypes. They're drawn from certain stories. Hence the reasoning in Hollywood where they say everything derives from the same story. It's not derived from the same thing. It's not derived from different aspects. It's derived from the same story. So in a sense, it makes you sit there and laugh and think, how can she come to those sort of conclusions without actually having something valid to say about this? And, as I said to Xander earlier, I didn't want to make this podcast to sound so negative because there are positives out there in terms of these things. With better parenting, with better association. If someone's got a mental condition or a mental issue, if it's found caught early, it can be dealt with. So there are positives in those sort of things. And the people that are doing their job and are making sure that certain things are being done and certain forms of parenting and parental control are being initiated, we won't have these issues. And in terms of games themselves, if Anita's got like a problem, maybe Anita needs to go down to somewhere like Syria or go somewhere where in a Muslim country where women are being objectified on a daily basis. Hell, you've got guys marrying 5 women, you've got women being killed if they get touched, even holding hands by another man. Maybe Anita should actually talk about that because, being the fact that she actually is descended from there in herself, in her appearance, I can see the fact that she has sort of Palestinian appearance. She should be talking about that, but instead she wants to focus on games because, as she points out, she's a pop culture critic when, in a sense, I've seen critics do what she does a hell of a lot better, but the only reason why she's actually being given a certain amount of fame that she has done is because she's talking about an industry in such a light that so many feminists out there believe in what she says. And in a sense, I've got 2 girls, and I would never, ever allow their schools to show them any videos by people like Anita Sarkeesian. I would actually talk with them as a proper parent should and explain to them what certain archetypes there are in games and allow them to delve and gather their own opinions. And they will mature, they'll get older, and they will start understanding the way that the world works and gather their own opinions on certain subjects. Now, segueing from this, let's go into some fun stuff, shall we, on the last 8 minutes of the show. Let's talk about our top 5 favourite games that kids aren't allowed to play. So we'll start with you, Xander. Your top 5 favourite games that are not kid-friendly.
Dead Space, Silent Hill, let me think of Mass Effect, Mortal Kombat, and the last one I think off the top of my head would be something like Halo.
There you go. And as you can tell, they're not kid-friendly because of the fact that most of these, you're shooting people, you're killing people, and you're also having sex. So that doesn't really... not there for the kids. Okay, what about you, Travis?
Let's see here. Resident Evil, Grand Theft Auto, Saints Row, any of the Saints Row games, honestly. Leisure Suit Larry, and just because I can't think of anything right at the moment, I'm going to say the Guy game.
Sam's basically suffering a bit of lag on her end. Hopefully we can actually get her back at some point. But we'll quickly go on to what she said. She just wanted to round off and saying she was talking to a friend who was listening to the show just now and says, you cannot just say a female protagonist plays a strong role. You have to ask the question of the character creator for a start. What has the character used as a female character? Why have they used it? Why has that character been used to tell the story at hand? So that is a good point. But, and again, when you look at character creation, when you look at development, everything is as part of the story. So the story in general needs to be told, and there's decisions that are made in terms of character development and the characters that are used if you're going to go through a whole acting process. But I'm not going to go into storytelling for dummies because that's not what the show's about.
Well, that's like not to change the subject too much, but no, that's like the Silent Hill movie.
Yeah.
As we know, it was a female character that became the hero of that movie, and the reason why a director chose a female for that movie is because he thought when he played the game, he played the original Silent Hill, he said that the hero felt more like a motherly figure, looking for the child, and the connection there was more of a female than it was a male, and it made sense. And I like the Silent Hill movie.
I know. The thing is, after he said that, he came back over that and went, I like boobies, I like pussy, yay. He actually was quoted on saying that afterwards, and it was like, first you said something intelligent, and then you had to ruin it with that remark.
Ah. Yeah.
So, yeah. But again, there you go. You've had the male role taken over by the female role. So, in a sense, that's what happens. The archetype is not a constant one. It does tend to change, depending on how they're going to tell the story, and choices are made in regards to the character, and that's a very, very good point. So as we're ending off the show, we've got 5 minutes left, and let's go on to plugs. So we'll start with you, Xander. Plug away. Tell us what you're a part of, what you're doing at the moment, all your projects, and let the I Got Gameplay universe know.
Okay, well, I host a video game podcast called Excess Gaming Podcast. You guys can find it on iTunes and Podomatic.com. I also do a YouTube channel that's Xander Scullion on YouTube, and I'm a part of the Game On Network podcast, or Game On Network network. You guys can check that out on GameOnNetwork.com/WordPress. And you can also check us out on Facebook as well, as Game On Network on Facebook. And pretty much as a group of a bunch of various YouTubers that do podcasts and YouTube videos, it's some way of all of us to get together as a community to bring better content to our viewers. So definitely check that out as well.
Thank you. Sam, what about yourself?